Hello my friends and welcome. I hope you're doing fine. And today we will have a look at the next exercise of Exercism. It's called Scrabble Score. Let's go. So here we have our next exercise. We click on it. Okay, so this is our exercise, introduction. Given a word, compute the Scrabble score of that word. So basically we'll have letters and all of these letters have a value. So for example, you have A. A has a value of 1. You have H, for example, it has a value of 4. Q has a value of 10, and so on. So we have an example here. We have cabbage, and cabbage should give you 14 back as a sum of all that numbers. So you have 3 points for C, 1 point for A twice. So you have A here and A here. You have 3 points for B twice, 2 points for G, and 1 point for E. And all of that add together, it gives you 14. Okay, cool. So what we need to do is, first of all, click on download and I'll open our terminal and paste that in there. Okay, cool. And then we go to that folder by doing cd, paste all of that in. Cool, we're in that folder in Scrabble Score. And then we do dart pub get. So we get all the libraries and dependencies. Perfect. And then we open the files and see what we need to do. I'll do it here. And you can go there via, what is it called? Finder, and then open the files on your own. But yeah, I'll do it like this. Okay, so let me do this bigger. Maybe, yeah, perfect. So this is our test file and this is our Scrabble score. So we have nothing in here. And now we need to see what the name of the method that we need to address and what are the return type and what is the parameter type and so on. So we go to the Scrabble score test and then we see the different tests, like here's test 1, test 2, test 3, and so on. And in our test 1, we see there's a variable. It's an integer variable. It's called a result. And you have a method here. It's called score. Okay, so our method should be named score. And it has a return type of integer and a parameter, which is a string. Cool. Let's do all of that. First, I'll copy a score here. So we have an int score and string word. We say word. So let's do this. Okay, perfect. So what we need to do now is to think about how to do all of that. So if we go back here, we see we need to put all of these in some kind of, I'll call it a map. So we need to map all of this. So we need to map the letter A to the value 1 and to map D to 2 and so on. So how we do that in Dart? We use map. So let me go here and delete this and maybe make this bigger. Okay, so we use a map and we'll see what map does. So if I go here, so it shows me some information on this side. And you see here is K and V. So map is basically a key value pair. So it has a key value pair. So is a collection of key value pairs. So it's perfect. It's written in here, from which you retrieve a value using its associated key. So you have a key, and if you say, show me the value of that key, it gives you a value back. So, for example, I could have, or let's do the same example as we have. Let's say we have letters here. So if I go back to, no, we go back here. So let's take A is 1, okay, and B is 3, and C is also 3. So let's do these, okay? So what are we saying? We're saying A, B, C have value of some kind of integer, okay? So we say string is our key. So the first one is a key in the map, comma, and now the type of the value, it is an integer. So, and we say alphabet to this one. So, okay. And how can we address this, or how can you initialize this? Basically by putting everything in this squiggly, brackets. And then we say the first one is the string, our key. So we put A, and then colon, I think it's called, and the value. So we have A is 1. And the other ones are 3. Okay. So this is our first map key. The first element of a map. And then we say comma if we want to put more elements in there. And then we go B is 3. And C is 3 as well. So this is basically how you define and initialize a map. So easy like that. If I print that, we'll see that we get A is 1, B is 3, C is 3. Cool. So how can I get each element? It's also easy. So let print that out. So we say, I'll put A, so we can see, what is the result are giving us back. So we have A, and I will use the $sign here, and then this squiggly brackets, and then in there I'll say alphabet. And then now these brackets, and you have to put the key in there. So our key is a string, and we say our first key should be A. Okay, so if I run this, I'll get back 1. So, and if we do it to all of these 3, and we say or B and C. Okay, so it should be A1, B3, C3. Okay, so you just call your map, your variable, and then you put it you put brackets in front of that and give it the key. So if you have your key is an integer, for example, you put an integer in here, so maybe 5 or something like that. But we said our key is a string, so you have to put a string in here. Cool. So basically we can go back here and do our own map. I did that already, so I just need to copy and paste, and you need to do it by your own. I'm sorry for that. So I put all of the alphabet as they mentioned here, all of these letters, and gave them the values that they need. So, okay, so that's our first step. So our next step is to go through them and then to add all the values together. So of course we can do, we can build a for loop or for each or whatever, and then go through it. And then at the end we say, we add the values together and then, yeah, give that back. But as we progress in Exercism, we need to learn new stuff. So new methods, new concepts, new stuff, yeah. So we will do it differently. We'll use something called fold method. So we'll use the fold method. Okay. So what that is, we'll do a new example. Yeah, to address fold. So, for example, I have a list of integer, and I'll call this nums, so for numbers, and I give them just, yeah, these numbers, 1 to 4. Okay. So what I want to do is to add all of these together. So at the end, we'll have 1 plus 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. So it's the sum of all of these numbers. So we'll put this in a sum nums variable, and then we say nums. So nums is our list here, dot fold, and now let us have a look what fold means. If we go here, we say fold reduces a collection to a single value by iteratively combining each element of the collection with an existing value. So, and then uses initial value as an initial value, then iterates through the elements and updates the value with each element using the combine function as if by, and then here's the example. So basically this fold does exactly this with a for loop. Okay, so let's go one by one. So we see here on the top, initial value. So here's an example, and you see initial value of 0. So this is the value, and so it could be 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, 1000. And then your function in here, so this function, whatever it gives, like we say we want to calculate all of these together, so we get 10 back. So if you get 10 back here, it adds this on top of that. So if you have here initial value of 4 and you have 10 here, it will be 14. So that's the initial value. So the value from where you start. Okay, so it typically will be 0. So yeah. And then after that you have a function, and then you have to combine them. Okay, so you have a function here. This will be our function. So we'll have preview and current element. So what is preview? A previous element. The previous element is the previous calculated element. So what does that mean? The previous element here is the calculated element of here. So the value of previous value, it comes from the calculation of this prev plus element. So whatever comes here out, it go here, and then you go with your iteration forward. And the element is basically the current element of your list. No worries, we will do an example. Okay, cool. So in here, we say our initial, our initial value is 0. And then we said, if you go back here, we said we need previous and element. So I'll call it priv. Oops, you should put it in the brackets. Priv and cur. So for previous element and current element. Okay, and then you do an arrow, and then you say priv plus cur. So you do plus here because we said we need to add all of these together. If you need to multiply them, you can put multiply here. If you want to do something fancy, like I don't know, some turbo math stuff, you can do it here. And and then you get something out, and then it goes back to prev, and then you get a new stuff here. Okay, so let's go one by one. So now we have our num, and at the beginning, our num or our function here is starting here. This is our current value, which is here, and our previous value is 0. Why? Because we didn't calculate anything here. So initially it will be 0. So we will have 0 plus 1, it's 1. So now we calculate this. Now the next iteration occurs. So we have the current value is 2. Here's 2. What is our previous value? It's 1. Because we calculated in the last iteration, we calculated 0 plus 1 as a previous plus current is 1. We put it in here. And the current is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. And now we get 3 here. We put it in previous in here. So we have 3. Our current is 3. And then you add it, you have 6. You put 6 in here. Current is 4. And then you say 6 plus 4 is 10. And then you give it back. If we have here something like 3, or 43. And then you say you have 10 here. So you add the 10 to this. So you have 53 at the end. Okay, cool. So let's print this and see what we got. So, cool. We have 10. Perfect. That's exactly what we said. So let me, oops. Come on. So, okay, so I'll, comment this out. So we have 10. Okay, cool. Perfect. So this is basically what we also need. So we need to have a map, and we should go through the map and then add everything together. So basically use fold. Okay, perfect. Wow, my voice cracked there. All right, so we need to return something. So I'll comment everything up here. So let's say you will get Steve, for example, as a word. Like this. Let's say like this. I know the capital letters because if I go back and see the second test is an A with a capital letter. And it should give back 1. And if you see here, A, it should give also 1. So there's no difference between capital and small letters. So that's also important. So how can we do that? Because we are using only the small letters here, not the capital letters. So, and if you get something like this, and it takes the capital S and goes through your list and says, I don't know what that is. It's a capital S. It has a different value, but I don't know what that value is. And gives you null, and then you get error and everything explodes. So make sure that first thing that you do is to take your word, the word that you get from here, your parameter, and say to lowercase. Okay? Or you can do it also in uppercase if you convert all of these to uppercases. So, and then you need to put everything in uppercase, but I'm using lowercase. Okay, so that's the first thing you do. Everything in lowercase. So what's happening now is you get something like this. Okay, next step is to make your word iterable. Like, so you can iterate through each letter of that word. So basically to make a list out of it, as we have here in with our nums. So with our variable nums, and it has numbers as a list. So we need a list. How can we do that? That's also easy. We say split, and then in here we say where should it split. So for example, let me do that. For example, if I have like Steve is the best, and I need to split it I need to split these words. I will do something like this. I will say split and then give it the empty space. So the split method will go through here and say Steve, oh, there's an empty space, split is what is this? Is split the split best. Okay, so it goes one by one. If you have you want to like to split it by comma, you say okay, comma. So this is your first word or string, and then this the second string. But we don't have that at all. So we have a word. So how can we split a word? We just give it an empty string. And by doing that, so an empty string, not like this, really an empty string. Okay, so now we have something like this, STEVE. So now is our word split, and now we can iterate through each word, each character of this word. Okay, and we use that by using fold. So we say fold, our initial value should be 0, and then we have our previews. Let me do it like this. Yep. So we have our previous value, and then our current value, and we say previous. And now we should take the value of the letter values of this variable, so the map variable. So how can we do that? It's also easy. We say that letter value, so this one, and we give it, so or yeah, if I put an A in here, it will take the value here. So we have our cur, so this is our current key. So we put it in here, and don't forget the semicolon. Okay, so basically the letter value is our map, as you see here, and then the cur is our current character, what we get here. So we get S, and then it says letter value S, and then it checks here, S is 1, and it gives you 1 back. And then all the addition stuff, basically like here in our dart pad, shown here, yeah, it gives you exactly that, what we need. Okay, cool. So this should work, hopefully. So we go back to our terminal here. And then we do the test and say dart run test. And let's see if everything is fine or we did some errors. But it should be fine. Let's see. So, yeah, as always, there's always an error. Okay, so yeah, I need to copy this. So I'm missing an S at the end here, but I will paste this all. So let's do that again. So yeah, just see how these things are written and stuff like that. Okay, so we get +1 and 10 are skipped. Okay, perfect. So when I do this, if I go back to our test file and copy this false and then put it basically everywhere it says skip false. So it go through all the tests and hopefully at the end we get everywhere correct. So it should say +11. Okay, perfect. So that's it. That's Scrabble Score. I hope you learned something new. So we had a look at map and then also at fold. And these two are really handy stuff to have and to know about. And in the future we will use something called map. It's basically the same as fold, but it can do also other stuff. So yeah, if you learned something, show me with a like and subscribe to my channel. I will do other exercises and hope to see you next time. Steve out. Ciao.